Recently, I posted on my YouTube channel about this deal. This was $13 on Amazon. This is probably Bibury's cheapest multi-tool at the moment. And this falls actually somewhere between their Surge and their Leatherman Wave style clone. It sort of is in between the two of them. So this is the titanium handled Surge clone. This comes in an ounce less than the normal Surge clones. Comes in at 11 ounces. This comes in around 10 ounces, and this comes in around 9 ounces. So this tool falls right there in the middle, even with size, length, and also weight if you would take this glass breaker off the bottom. Now, there are a lot of things to like, and there are a lot of things to hate about this multi-tool, so let's go ahead and dive into it. The first thing to love is the $13, obviously. Then the next thing is these pliers look very sturdy. They look like some of the other pliers we've talked about on the very cheap multi-tools. These are some of the pliers I start out with in the HVAC trade, and I found them to be very useful. They are very sturdy. There are no replaceable wire cutters to weaken the plier frame. These are monsters. At the bottom, I think you could use this as a crimper. There's a fairly large metal piece here at the bottom, and these are not spring loaded, so there's really no fluff on this except the titanium plated. That's the only concession toward where they try to make it look a bit more premium. Now, on the inside of the handles, this one will be a little different in that there are no inside tools. All the tools are outside. And that seems like a good thing, but, well, let's start with this. What they're doing is they're using this tool, it looks like, from the day of camping, and you have your wire stripping notches at the bottom. You've got some wrenches. You have a bottle cap lifter and a can opener, which adds a ton of tools that you would usually have inside now on the outside. On the opposite, there is the file, which is fairly small for how long this file is. Not quite sure why it's that way. Then you have a depth gauge, which again is a fairly small depth gauge for a large external tool. You have a combo blade knife. Not too much more to say about that. Well, I guess we could go ahead, cut some paracord, just see if this is fairly sharp. Let's try to cut it right there. All right, so the regular blade is fairly sharp. Let's try the serrated blade. And the serrated blade actually took a little bit more to cut it, but it did cut the paracord. Now, on the opposing side to the knife, you do actually get what looks like a pretty much full-length saw, so that's good. All right, close that up. Now, on the bottom, I'm not sure why we need this, but there is this rope cutter. They deem that as a very important tool. And the glass breaker. Now, if you open this up, you get what I think is a 4mm bit driver. Now, this is a pretty big, monstrous tool. It's only, what, a couple ounces less than the Leatherman Surge, and you only get a 4mm bit driver. I think this might have a very thin magnet, but the magnet does not seem to be that great. Yeah, that's where these components sort of break down. Some of the choices on this, I'm not sure why you would do that. Yeah, doesn't really make sense to me. Glass breaker looks like you could unscrew it and put it back in. I'm not sure, but I think it might be just grounded in the plastic. And then this bit driver, I don't know if that's just a metal piece and then plastic in the back or not, but some of these are a little bit less than inspiring. The main thing you would want to use this for are the large pliers and the knife and the saw. The file is a little bit less than inspiring because it is so small, and then you do have a majority or a fair amount of tools on this side, on if you really need that can opener and the bottle opener and the wire stripper in a pinch. Yeah, this is a very different tool, but again, it's only $13. So as much negative as I would sort of like to say about it, to some extent, it is $13. You've got to keep that in mind. The pouch is okay. It's this plastic clip. I think some people have complained about this. Some people love it. The tool, I don't feel like fits extremely well in this pouch. There is definitely some wiggle room. I guess you can put some other stuff in there. The pouch is fairly ginormous, so it will be fairly large on belt. It says 3CR13. It talks about it's 6.7 inches. I think that's with the pliers open, 17 centimeters. Closed length 4.2 inches or 10.6, and then the weight is 344 grams. Long nose pliers, wire cutters, multifunction knife, slaughter screwdriver, bottle opener. Not sure. I guess that's the holder for bits. Safety hammer, 13 safety hammer. Oh, that's what I called the glass breaker. Okay. Standard pliers, nail file ruler, wood saw, can opener, hex wrench, rope cutter for 4-in-1 screw drives. That's different. Yeah, so it has a screw drives on it. That's nice. This is the BI MT003. So it's been about 5 years since I started this YouTube channel, and this design has been around, I think, all of that time, if not a little bit before. So this is a pretty old design. It looks like Bibury is trying to add the titanium plating to update it to some extent to try to make it seem a bit more premium, but I feel like, yeah, it doesn't really seem that premium once you open it up. Now, I love the pliers. I think that's a pretty good aspect to it, and obviously there are some implements that are okay, but it desperately needs an upgrade. I wonder if this would be a great candidate for something like a Gerber center drive to be on the outside. I can see that really helping the tool to be a lot better. And there are several ideas where I've thought about modding this. I don't know, I might in the future, but at $13, this might be a fantastic gift to someone, maybe, or even better, a place where you can start modding tools on something you won't regret if you ruin it. So this could be a great modding platform. Let me know what you guys think. I think it has potential to be useful if you want to throw this in your tackle box or something for your glove compartment, but definitely not a top tier multi-tool. But for $13, what can you expect?